most of you are able to hear me. Okay. So we'll start at 12:35. Okay. So wait for 1 more minute for everybody else to come in. Okay, can hear now. Okay, all right. So time check now is 12:35. So we're gonna start off today's session. Okay. So as you can see from the slide today, the topic of the day is healthier eating at hawker center and restaurants. Okay, so before we start, my name is Teresa. I'm actually a health coach slash nutritionist. Okay, from MIMED, and actually this talk is brought to you by SNAF. Okay, in collaboration with MINMED as well as Health Promotion Board. Okay, so just want to do a quick poll with everybody who is listening to today's session. Okay, how many of you actually eat out and have your meals regularly at hawker centers or even restaurants? So if you are somebody who actually have your meals regularly at hawker center, please help me to put a 1. Okay, in the chat box. Okay, tell me that you are actually a frequent diner in hawker center or even restaurants. Okay, a few one. Okay, I see some. Okay, most of you are sending to me directly, so I believe some of you are not able to see it. Okay, if you would like to change your setting, you can put 2, then send the chat to meeting group chat so everybody um will will see your response. Okay, so most of you are actually sending direct messages to me. Don't worry, I see your answers. Okay, so we do have quite a bit of you who actually are a frequent diner at hawker centers or even restaurants. Okay, so as we know, for Singaporeans, usually because of the busy schedule and as well as our lifestyle, we usually choose to eat out at hawker centers and restaurant, and this is always or rather mostly part of our daily lifestyle habit. So of course, given the fact that actually Singapore is a food paradise, everywhere we go we see food at a very affordable price. This makes it even more difficult for us to choose to eat healthier, cook at home, and also the food options actually makes it even more difficult for us to eat well. Okay, so after all, you are what you eat. So today we'll look at how we can actually eat out healthily. Okay, so move on to the next slide. Just a very quick questions for you to test how well you know your food. Okay, so out of these 3 options over here, A, 1 gram of protein, B, 1 gram of carbohydrates, and C, 1 gram of fat. Do you have an idea, okay, of which of this food or rather content macronutrients contain the highest amount of calories? Is it A, protein, B, carbohydrates, or C, fats? Okay, let me just take a look at the chat box. Okay, so most of you have gave me an answer of B and C. Okay, so no A's. Okay, but mostly what I'm seeing is C's are more than B's. Okay, so let us take a look at the correct answer. Okay, so the correct answer is actually 1 gram of fat. So just for information, 1 gram of protein and 1 gram of carbohydrates actually do give you the same amount of calories per gram, and that is 4 calories per gram of macronutrient. Okay, whereas 1 gram of fat will give you 9 calories. Okay, so as you can see, your 1 gram of fat actually has more than what you know your protein and carbohydrate is able to give you per gram. So that's why we often emphasize a lot about having your fats mindfully, and also to make sure you choose the right type of fat to consume in your meals. Okay, next question. Which of these do not contain added sugar? Okay, so is it A, chili sauce, B, mayonnaise, C, none of these have added sugar, or is it D, both have added sugar? Okay, what do you guys think? Okay, some of you have answered, and most of the answers are D, and you are right. Okay, so both chili sauce and mayonnaise both do have added sugar. Okay, so even though mayonnaise, when you taste them, they usually do not taste as sweet. Okay, as compared to your chili sauce or your normal, added sugar sauces or even beverages. However, they do contain high amount of fructose corn syrup. Okay, so then if have them in a large amount, they do actually increase the risk of you having high blood sugar. And also at the same time, because mayonnaise are made up of egg yolks, they do contain higher amount of fats, which also increase your risk of increased blood triglycerides. Okay, so just do take note that both of these sources do contain added sugar. Okay, then we'll move on to the next question. Which of these do not contain salt? Okay, so is it A, fish balls, B, cheese, C, bread, D, none of these contain salt, or E, all of these contain salt? Okay, so I'm seeing your answers flowing in already, and most of you have gave me an answer of E, and that is correct. Okay, so fishball, very straightforward. They are processed foods, so they are actually high in sodium. Okay, for cheese, usually they do also contain high amount of salt because we do want that savory taste of cheese. And then for bread itself, even though you don't really taste the salt, however, salt is used as part of bread making. So they do contain in small amount, but they do contain salt as well. So if you were to have these slices of bread, or even those bread you buy from the bakery themselves, they do contain salt. Okay. So this is just a very quick content page to show you what we will be covering today. So of course we'll be understanding the eating habits of Singapore and Singaporeans. Okay, based on our national health survey done by the Health Promotion Board. Okay, and then of course we do want to understand the concept of BMI. So in long, it stands for body mass index, and how to calculate it. Okay, and then of course you want to understand your calorie requirements and how to eat healthily based on My Healthy Plate, which is also a practice by uh uh planning your meals accordingly to this healthy plate, which I'll be showing you later on. Okay, and then of course if let's say it is very tough or difficult or challenging for you to even prepare your own food, then we'll be talking a little bit about the hawker food and how to survive the hawker paradise, because most of our hawker food are very high in sodium, very high in fats, as well as sugar. That's why we want to give you some healthy eating tips as well as hacks on how to choose your food when eating out, especially for fast food. Okay, and then of course we'll end off today's session with a quick Q&A session for about 5 minutes. Okay, so keep your questions coming throughout the session if you have any. I will be answering them at the end of the session later on. Okay. So, based on the National Health Survey, we want to look at how Singaporeans are eating. Okay, so by understanding the current eating habits of Singapore residents, then this is how we can actually, find the solution, or even how to actually, address the problem of what Singaporeans are facing while eating out. Okay, so based on the National Nutrition Survey conducted in 2018, on average, Singaporeans are consuming about 2,500 calories on average. So it has improved from the previous years. However, it still exceeds the recommendation. Okay, so quick question to every one of you out there. Okay, do you have any idea how much calories are we recommended to have every single day? Okay, so females and males, they differ a little bit. So if you know, okay, just let me know in the chat box. Okay, just give me a range, that will be fine as well. Or if you know the exact number, okay, you can put them in the chat box. Okay. Uh Chin Kiang says 1,800. Michael and Tutra says 2,000. Jin Xian says 2,500 for milk. And Jindy says 1,800 to 2,000. Okay, you guys are all pretty close. Later on, we'll be showing you how much calories are Singaporeans recommended to have every single day for both male as well as females. Okay, but for now, in this slide, just know that 2,500 is what Singaporeans are on average having every single day. However, the good thing, the improvement that we can see based on the National Nutrition Survey is that Singaporeans are having better quality carbohydrates, meaning to say there are more whole grains, more fruits, as well as vegetables. Okay, based on the study of their average Singaporean intake. And then, of course, Singaporeans are more well informed to substitute saturated fat, which are our bad fat, with unsaturated fat, which are known as our good fat. Okay, however, two other things that is very alarming for us is actually our sugar intake and sodium intake is still very high at 60 gram per person per day for our sugar intake, and then on average of 9 grams per person per day for our sodium intake. Okay, so our sugar intake, we usually recommend from 40 to 55 grams. Okay, and then WHO, which is our World Health Organization, even recommends a lower amount at 25 grams. Okay, and then for our sodium is about 5 grams based off our Singapore recommendation as well as WHO recommendation. Okay, so I would say that based on the study, the high sugar and sodium intake are likely due to the frequent consumption of hawker food, where we share that actually all these hawker food, they are very high in sugar as well as salt content. Okay. So then, of course, also based on the population health survey, the prevalence in adult obesity of adults aged between 18 to 19 years old is about 8.9%, while seniors, elderly aged between 60 to 74 years old is 6.9%. Even though you see that the number might be on our single value, however, if we do not, address this problem soon, it might increase up to double numbers. Okay, so if it hits 10%, which we can see from our adult age 18 to 59 nearing it already, it means that in every 10 Singaporean adults, there will be one adult that is having adult obesity. So that is actually a bit scary and alarming. Okay, so you might be asking, what would happen if we have adult obesity, right? So then this will actually lead to an increased risk of chronic diseases such as our diabetes, our high blood pressure, or even high blood cholesterol. Okay, which further will increase the risk of a lot more other serious illnesses such as heart conditions or even heart attacks. Okay, so how do we define adult obesity? Is when an a human is actually defined 30 kilograms per meter square or greater for your BMI. So later on, I'll be sharing with you on how to actually calculate your BMI to see whether which range are you in. Okay, and then something very alarming, or rather something that you should take note of is for prevalence in overweight children aged between 6 to 18 years old. Okay, so in 2017 is about 13%, so we have hit the double digits, and then for 2013 that will be 11%. So as you can see, there's an increase, okay, of 2% in just a mere 4 years. Okay, so if it's not being controlled, as parents we do not control our young ones diet, then it will actually lead to adult obesity, okay, where it of course in turn increase the health risk of chronic diseases like what we've mentioned just before this part. Okay, so this is something that we do need to take note of. So before our children even grow up, we do want to make sure that they do not hit the obesity range of BMI. Okay, so what's overweight in children? They are defined as more than 90th percentile of BMI for age. Okay, so here we are showing you the definition of BMI as well as the calculation of BMI. So what is BMI? It stands for body mass index, where it is a measure, okay, of body size using a person's height as well as weight proportion. So if a person's BMI is actually outside of the healthy range, then that would mean that the health risk would increase significantly. So how to calculate our BMI? You take your weight in kg divided by your height in meters times height in meters. So in short, is height meter square. Okay, so not to worry if you're not sure how to calculate your BMI. Health Promotion Board do also provide this website where you can actually just input in your weight as well as your height in meters. Then they will actually automatically calculate for you your BMI number already. So just to show you for reference, this is the table to show you what is the range that you should be aiming for. So of course, if you can see, you should be aiming your BMI to be at the healthy range of 18.5 to 23.4. And this is based off classification for general Asian adults aged between 18 to 59 years old. Okay, so here we also do want to let you note that BMI is not for athletes as well as persons with higher muscle mass. So meaning to say, if you're somebody who go to the gym very often, you do want to train up on your muscles, right? You do have because muscle itself it weighs heavier than your fats. That's why we do not use BMI as a measurement for this group of people. Which I see that somebody also asked, Ching Kiang asked, but BMI is not the best indicator of health, huh? Yes. So it is not the gold standard of letting you know whether you are your weight is actually in the healthy range, or are you overweight or obese, or you're underweight. However, it is a rough guide to tell you. So especially for athletes as well as people who go to the gym or who do strength training very often, then this would be what we would recommend you to use as a guide, but not as the main gold standard of measurement. Okay. So next we talk a little bit about energy requirement, which we talked about just now about your caloric intake. So energy requirement is the amount of food energy that is needed for you to maintain your daily energy expenditure. So breathing, walking, running, or even just by digesting your food itself, your body require the energy to do so. So we would need this amount of energy in order for us to maintain and balance our body size, our body composition, as well as our daily requirement, energy requirement to maintain our weight. So for meals itself, I think just now somebody mentioned 2,000, 2,500. So the on average amount that we are recommending our meals, Singaporean meals, to have is about 2,200 2,200 calories per day, whereas for our females is 1,800 calories. Okay, however, just to take note that this is just a rough guide. Um, and also recommended on average for our adult males and females in Singapore respectively. But if you want to know a more accurate number, then that would take into consideration of your age, your gender, your weight, as well as your lifestyle. So for example, if you are a person who is of a sedentary lifestyle, you are a desk-bound office worker who spend most of your time sitting down, then definitely you might want to aim for 1,800 or 2,200 maximum or even lower, because the amount of energy that you are using every single day is not as high as somebody who goes to spin class after work or even a bodybuilder. Okay, so this is just a rough guide. If you want to know more accurately the numbers that you would need to have to maintain or even to lose weight, then you need to take into consideration of the different factors like your age and gender. Okay, so we will want to emphasize the importance of watching your own daily calorie intake, because consuming too much calories, then this will lead to weight gain. Okay, then whereas if you do not have enough, then that will lead to a lot more other malnutrition problems, such as osteoporosis in the future, or even just not having enough um, energy to kickstart your day. Okay. So, of course, this is just some tips on how to keep within your calorie limit now that you know how much calories that you are recommended to have every single day. So, just assuming that you would have 3 meals a day without snacking in between. By meaning of snacking, that would be having potato chips, candies, or even cakes in between your dinner and lunchtime. Sometimes when your office do have some event where they do give out some snacks, or even your office have some snack bars, these are all considered as snacking. Okay, so we just assume that you have your 3 meals without snacking. For meals, do aim within 600 calories per meal. Okay, whereas for females, to aim within 500 calories per meal. And this would all include your drinks as well as fruits. Anything that you put in your mouth that contains calories, then do aim for these magic numbers. Okay. However, if you're somebody who is aiming to lose weight, okay, or your lifestyle is a bit more sedentary, where you don't move around a lot, you sit around a lot, okay, or if you have the elderly ones at home where they do not walk around as often, then do try to aim lower in terms of your calorie intake, in order not to gain extra weight. Okay, so tips on how to keep within would be to go light. So choose lighter options, like your spinach soup, your yong tau fu, your soupy options. Okay, sliced fish soup, and then of course to load up on your vegetables. Choose leaner cuts of meats, as well as to opt for lesser rice or noodles when you're ordering your food. Okay, and of course, different choices of carbohydrates would also affect your calorie intake. So choose thin bihun or dry kway teow instead of the thick yellow noodles. Okay, because they do contain higher amount of carbohydrates. And then of course to limit sauces and condiments, because they do contain empty calories. They are hidden, okay, which means you thought that okay, they're just sauces, right? But if you put them into your body, into your mouth, in your diet, take for example, if you are a fan of mentaiko mayo, right? They are just sauces. However, mayonnaise, they are made out of egg yolks. Remember, we just mentioned. So egg yolks itself, they do contain fat. So fat itself do contain calories. So when you were to spam on your mentaiko mayo and then you were to have a large amount of mentaiko mayo just because it tastes very nice, then that would mean that these hidden calories will be consumed by you. Okay, so of course always go for the non fried options, to go for the baked options, soup options, or even steam options if you can. Okay, moving forward, then we'll talk a little bit about our hawker food, because hawker food is what make us Singaporeans Singapore, or Singapore this made up our Singapore culture. Okay, so most of us Singaporeans, we have to admit that we are foodies, right? We always want to keep a lookout for the next food, next delicious food. And when we see hawker centers with hawker stores that have very long queue, then we will want to go queue and then get that food just cause we want to try how good that food is. Okay, I'm guilty myself. So I'm not sure about you, but we do want to have a good meal. Okay, and of course, due to our lifestyle, busy lifestyle, most of our meals are eaten out. So it is something that we cannot control, that the food prepared by our hawkers are usually very high in salt, high in fat, as well as high in sugar. So too much of such content can lead to health problems like we mentioned, like your diabetes, your high blood pressure, which might lead to stroke and even heart diseases. So it is always important to know what are the good food options and what are some of the more unhealthy food options that come with these hawker choices. Okay, and of course, like what we've mentioned just now in our population health survey, is that a lot of us are exceeding our recommended salt intake. And over here says that over 90% of our Singapore population are eating too much salt at about an average of 9 grams per day. Okay, so we are not able to control how much of that content is being put in our food when it's being prepared by a hawker. So that's why we always recommend you to, look out for signs, and of course to let the hawkers know when they are preparing to put lesser of certain things. Okay, just to take note, just like how sauces and condiments are our hidden calories, they are also a hidden culprit of our salt content. So sauces, seasoning, and stock in cooked food make up 75% of salt in our diet. Because even though, yes, I do encourage you to go for soupy options. However, most of the soup they are added with MSG, or they are added with a lot more chicken stock to make the soup more flavorful. So yes, we do encourage you to go for soupy options, but try to go easy on the soup drinking, as well as to consume the sauces as well. Okay, so quick activity with you guys. Okay, so now here you see we have two different hawker food which are very commonly found in our hawker center. One is our char kway teow, another one is our fishball noodle soup. Okay, so which one do you think has more salt? Okay, is it the char kway teow or the fishball noodle soup? Okay, I'm seeing some answers. Fishball noodle soup. Okay. Jun Xian says both. Okay, any other answers? Anyone guess char kway teow? Shin Kiang says 鱼圆面, which stands for fishball noodle soup. Okay, let us take a look at the content. Okay, so we break down the different content of the food itself, and then we will take a look at how much salt there is in each of the food. Okay, so when we look at char kway teow, it actually contains 3.7 grams of salt, which makes up about 75% of recommendation. So kway teow about 0.1, cocoa 0.1, your processed meat, because they do not give you a lot, right? They give you just like a few pieces of fish cake, a few pieces of Chinese sausage, then they made up about 0.6. Whereas the soya sauce, the dark soya sauce, is the one that gives the most salt content, which makes up about 2.9, and total will give you about 3.7 gram. Okay, then of course your kway teow fishball soup also contains 3.7 grams of salt. So they are the same, which I think Jin Xian have mentioned. It says both. Okay. So kway teow 0.1, fishball 1.3, because yes, because most of you, I believe, chose the fishball is because of the fishball salt content, right? The soup itself has 1.5 grams. Like what I mentioned, some of them they might add MSG in it or chicken stock. Okay, and then of course dipping sauce would consist of chili and our soy sauce, which is about 0.8. And so in total is about 3.7. So if you were to have one meal, okay, a day, then definitely you are in the recommendation of 5 grams. But do not forget that if you were to have another meal, so let's say in a day you decide to eat both char kway teow as well as fishball noodle soup, because for lunch you had char kway teow and you feel like it's a bit unhealthy for me. So I just want to go for something healthier, and then I go for the kway teow noodle soup. But actually, if you were to add both of them together, this would actually exceed your recommended salt intake of 7.4 grams already. Okay, so that is why we will not recommend you to have firstly both of these meals in the day, and of course secondly to um really be mindful about the food that has that salt content that you choose. Okay, so ideally you should aim for less than 700 milligrams, which is about 0.7 grams of sodium per meal, because we want to take into consideration of you snacking. Okay, that's why we would recommend you 0.7 grams per meal to uh 0.7 grams to 1 gram. Okay, you can go up to 1.5 grams. However, we would not recommend you to go for more than 2 grams per meal. Okay, which is something that in hawker food itself is very hard for us to control. So that's why we always recommend you to prepare food or cook food if possible. Okay, then of course next we will talk a little bit about our sugar content. Okay, so of course Singapore is making a very large effort to reduce the amount of sugar because of the fight with diabetes. Okay, because the amount of diabetic patients in Singapore is on the rise. So the government is actually imposing sugar tax on drinks or even food that exceeds the recommended amount accordingly to the food preparation guidelines. Okay. However, even though these efforts are being made, but the population health survey, have found that even though people are consuming lesser sugar from drinks, but there's still increased amount of sugar intake from food itself, in particularly from confectionery as well as desserts. Okay, so the recommended limit per day according to Health Promotion Board would be 40 to 55 grams of sugar, and that would be equivalent to 8 to 11 teaspoon of sugar. They might seem a lot, as a figure. However, just by drinking a can of sugar beverage or sweetened beverage will set you back to about maybe up to 2 to 3 teaspoon already. Not to forget, if you were to have cakes, pastry, confectionaries, chocolates, or sweets, right, they would also give you sugar as well. So we do want to calculate everything together, okay, and then try to limit to 40 to 55 grams of sugar. Okay, of course, for added health benefits to further reduce your sugar to limit them to 25 grams of sugar every single day, accordingly to the World Health Organization guidelines. Of course, it will be a little bit more challenging, but over the long run, in terms of the health benefits, that would be a more beneficial, effect on your health. Okay, on average, our Singaporeans are taking 60 grams. So exceed by a little bit, but if you were to calculate every single day, then that would amount to be a lot of, extra sugar intake. Okay, so here over here, if you can see from the graph, drinks usually take up most of the sugar content, where food also do have that sugar. However, we do want to make sure that we are trying to reduce them even more. Okay, so I just want to take a quick 30 seconds to just get all of you to actually do a very quick group photo time with me. So of course, I know some of you might be shy. I'm going to stop share for a bit because I would like to take a group photo for attendance taking. So if you're able to just spend the next 10 to 15 seconds to just show your pretty faces, your handsome faces, so that I can take a quick snapshot. Okay, and then I can actually report it to my boss. Okay, just a quick one. I'm gonna take a screenshot of everybody for attendance. Okay. Okay, so those of you who are inconvenient to on your camera, you can actually put a thumbs up later on with a count of 3. Okay, so then I know that you are there. Okay, then that's your attendance. Okay, so ready on a count of 3 for those of you who are not able to actually put on your screen, then put a thumbs up. Okay, on a count of 3, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, let me just take a quick check. Okay, I have one more page. The first one is okay, but I'm not sure who are on the first and second page. So everybody just smile again, okay? One more thumbs up on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, let me just do a quick check. Okay, awesome. We got everyone. That's great. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly share my screen again. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about our Healthy Plate. It's called My Healthy Plate. It's an initiative by the Health Promotion Board to help educate and use this as a guide to teach Singaporeans on how to eat healthily. Okay, so we can also choose to use this concept to eat at hawker centers, especially the very popular zap cai peng, which is known as our economic rice. Okay, so this is one of the more simpler and most effective methods to actually control our calorie intake, which is also known as portion control. So usually we do eat what is on our plate. We look at what we eat, and we choose to put what we want to eat on the plate rather than choosing what our body needs. So of course, this plate itself do help to guide you in order to know what to put on your plate to eat. Okay, and it goes by the concept of quarter, quarter, half. You might have heard the song Quarter, Quarter, Half. In the polyclinics, you might see a poster of this in the polyclinic as well, or even hear the Quarter, Quarter, Half song somewhere. We might be as a commercial, or it might be even on YouTube itself. Okay, so the quarter quarter half concept goes by a quarter of your brown rice and wholemeal bread, which are also known as your carbohydrates. The other quarter is your protein, where it consists of your meat and others, and then the other half to be your fruits and vegetables. Okay, so a quick question out there. Do you know how many servings of fruits and vegetables are you recommended to have every single day? Anyone has any idea? Okay, very fast. Sokun says 2, Jindy says 2 as well. Okay, and you are right. So we are recommended to have at least 2 servings of fruits and 2 servings of vegetables every single day. Susan also says too. That's right. Okay, so at least 2 servings of fruits and 2 servings of vegetables. By that, I mean by 2 plus 2, not 2 servings in total. Okay, so 2 plus 2. Okay, and of course, if you can see below the table, it says to choose water as your main source of hydration. So try to always choose plain water. If you don't like plain water, you can always infuse your plain water with fruits like lemon, oranges, or even strawberries. Okay, and then of course, to choose healthier oils like our canola oil, our olive oil, okay, or even your sunflower oil. Okay. So then, of course, to try to be active in terms of exercising, aiming for 150 minutes of exercise every single week. Okay. So then this is a question that I always get from people. Is it possible to eat healthier at hawker centers? Definitely yes, it's possible because in your hawker center there's so many options, right? So it really depends on whether you choose to eat healthy today at the hawker center or choose to eat a little bit more unhealthy at the hawker center. So how do we eat healthier at hawker centers? First and foremost, look out for stores participating in the Healthier Hawker Food Program. So if you can see over here, we have this healthier options sticker on the right side of the slide that you can see over here. So those of the hawkers that participates in this Healthier Hawker Food Program, they actually do apply to Health Promotion Board, and Health Promotion Board actually come down to take their food to go back to really calculate the different content of the food itself. So with that, of course, they do have a guideline, and if the food itself meets the guideline of the healthier hawker food, then the hawker itself will be given this hawker sticker to be placed on their glass, to be placed on their store, where it's visible, okay, to let consumers know that their food are of a healthier option. So of course, you can also look out for healthier components such as healthy cooking methods. So nowadays in the hawker, there are a lot of different concepts. There are the steam fish or the steam options where everything are steamed. Then this is considered as your healthier cooking method. And then of course the light options where they are not covered in any sauces or gravies. And then of course our food that has more whole foods and lesser of processed ingredients. So for example, sliced fish noodle soup and not fishball noodle soup. Okay. So here are some examples of the different healthiest choice stickers that you can find in our hawker center. So there are stickers for the sugar ones, the whole grain ones, the healthier oil one, as well as the lower in calories ones. So you can take a look at the food option and then make your food choices more you can make a more informed choice when you are buying your next meal. Okay, so of course we talked about sugar. Of course, we do want to talk about salt. Okay, so as we mentioned just now, a lot of our food, comes with high amount of salt. So the very quick recommendation is to go light on salt. So the recommended amount, or rather the limit per day, is 1 teaspoon, which is equivalent to 5 grams or 2,000 milligrams of sodium per day. And this also includes sodium or salt that comes from your gravies, your sauces, your table salt, as well as your processed foods like your bread as well as snacks. So those of you who have young little ones at home, they should be consuming even lesser salt, because when we go out to buy our food, we dabao or we take away home. Usually we buy from hawkers, right? And we feed the whole family. So young children should consume even lesser salt content. So some of the tips on how to reduce salt would be to limit the use of condiments and don't finish them. So just now we mentioned about your fishball noodle soup. Then you do have that chili, the chili padi with soya sauce. Of course, do not put the whole packet of soya sauce with chili in your fishball noodle soup. Or then, or let's say if you were to go for soupy options like your sliced fish noodle, or those soupy options, do not finish the soup because they do contain high amount of MSG or even salt. Okay, and then if you were to go for the economic rice, ask for your gravy to be added on the side, uh, or even do not put any sauce or gravy. Okay, if you want just a little bit because you don't like too dry of your food to be, then you can always have just a small amount of it. Okay, and then go for brown rice options if possible. Then, of course, to avoid processed meats such as luncheon meat, sausages, hot dogs, all this, ham and fish ball. So, most of the healthier hawker with that sticker, they will, if let's say possible, they will have that option to ask you to go for less salt or to ask for no salt. So don't be afraid to tell that angry looking uncle or auntie. Just let them know that you want to have lesser salt. Okay. So then when they were to cook your food, they actually will be more mindful about cooking and not add too much salt. Okay, we talk about salt, we talk about sugar. Of course, next we want to talk about fats. Okay, so for fat intake, we do want to encourage you to trim excess fats. So for food options like your char siu rice or the roasted pork rice or even chicken rice, they usually come with this thick fat. Okay, that makes that food even more yummy and delicious because of that fatty meat. So of course you buy those is to enjoy, right? Because it smells so good. So I would not encourage I would not tell you straight up to trim off the fats. But I would say maybe to control the amount of fats that you put into your mouth. So if you really want to eat that plate of roasted pork rice or your char siu rice, you know that the uncle or auntie is gonna serve you with that thick slab of fat, right? You can still have them, but have them in moderation. Meaning to say, half of the meat slices maybe you have them with the fat, but the other half of them maybe you can just trim off the fat. And then of course for chicken rice to take off the chicken skin. Okay, a lot more other options like your deep fried options like youtiao or those roti prata where they use a lot of oil. Then we would encourage you to go easy on those options. Maybe limit them to once a week or maybe one time in 2 weeks. Okay, so we try to limit the amount of fats that we put into our mouth. Okay, next, some tips on how to reduce, like we mentioned, limit to 2 deep fried dishes per week. Okay, and then of course, instead of going for fried version, go for boiled options, steam option, or soup options, and to remove any skin or visible fats from your meats to avoid having too much of that fat content. Okay, okay, I see a question about vegetarian food option. Later on, we will address them during the Q&A session, okay? So a little bit more about sugar intake, even though we've mentioned just now, but more information on it is to encourage you to actually limit the sugar intake daily. Okay, so like we mentioned, the World Health Organization limits you to recommends you to limit them to 25 grams for additional benefits. But if unable to, keep them to 40 to 55 grams per day, which is about 8 to 10 teaspoons or even 11 teaspoon maximum. So just to take note that we not just look at added sugar, because added sugar is sugar that you add into existing food that might already contain sugar. So take for example your fruit juices, or maybe your ice cream, or your yogurt, because of that natural occurring sugar in for example in milk or in yogurt. They come in a form of lactose. They do have that sugar already. And then of course for fruit juices itself, they do have sugar coming in the form of fructose. Okay, we do not want to add in additional sugar to increase the total amount of sugar that we put into our diet. Okay, so added sugar is not essential in our diet, and if we can limit them, we should limit them or reduce them to the minimum. Okay, so of course, the best would be to choose water, okay, for hydration, and to choose sugarless beverages when possible. So if let's say you are somebody who goes for kopi every single day, you need your coffee to start off the day. Perhaps the next time you order your coffee or even your tea, go for the siew dai option, which is the lesser in sugar. Or if you are able to, go for the kosong option, where they do not have any sugar, because you just need that caffeine to kickstart your day. Okay. Then of course, some other tips that I personally would do is to infuse your water with fruits, or even to go for aromatic teas like your peach tea. You can to get that caffeine fix, you can boil hot water, and then you buy some tea bags or that's flavored like your peach tea or maybe lemon tea, and then you do not put any more sugar in it, because the taste from the peach or the lemon itself comes naturally, where it already flavors your tea. Okay. Then of course for desserts like ice kacang, we try to ask for less syrup to reduce that calories as well as that sugar content. And then of course adding additional things like ice cream to your ice kacang would increase that sugar amount as well. Okay, so go for healthier alternatives like cheng tng, which is like this dessert soup where they have that white fungus. They have long dried longans, which they are already naturally sweetened, so they do not add additional sugar to it. Okay, so of course, go for healthier choice symbols. This don't only occur in hawkers. This also occurs in your groceries, where if food meets the guideline of a healthier choice food, they would have this healthier choice symbol. So next time you go to the when you go to the supermarket for your grocery shopping, and you are somebody who wants to get like those 3-in-1 coffee, or you want to get like those snacks or even food that are packaged for your breakfast or even for your snack time, try to go for options with this healthier choice symbol, so that you know that they are of a healthier option. Okay, so take for example drinks with this lower in sugar logo. They do contain 25% less sugar as compared to the regular beverages from the same food category. Okay, so we do have a few different types of healthier choice symbol, like your sugar ones, your calcium, your whole grains option, or even your sodium options as well. Okay. So then we talk about eating out in restaurants. So we do have restaurants who also collaborates with Health Promotion Board for this healthier dining program. Okay, where they served up healthier foods in restaurants as well. So our restaurants would be like if let's say you want to celebrate birthdays, you want to just eat a little bit more expensive food because you want to celebrate a promotion, or maybe just you just feeling a bit fancy, you want to have a more better food options, then there are also restaurants with this healthier choice symbols. Okay, so these are just some of the logos and signs that they will put up in their restaurants to let you know that they are a part of the healthier dining program in Singapore. Okay, so some of the options, or sorry, some of the restaurants that I can see from the Health Promotion Board website will be Burger King, Yole, your yogurt, okay, Simply Wraps, or even Gongcha, where if you want to get your bubble tea fix, you can also go there. Okay, however, do take note, I'm not sponsored to promote their restaurants. These are just some of the examples that I can find from the Health Promotion website. So if you would like to know that the if the restaurant that you are interested in actually are part of this healthier dining program, you can always search on Google HPB healthier dining program restaurants, and they would come up with a list of restaurants that are in partner with Health Promotion Board for this program itself. Okay, and then of course by having this by having them in collaboration for this healthier dining program, it doesn't mean that the whole of their menu is of healthier options. So do check the menu for healthier options, and look out for those food options with the healthier choice symbol logo. So very straightforward. If you were to see some healthier cooking methods like grilling, steaming, baked, or tomato based dishes, they are usually of a healthier cooking method. And then of course those menu items that are fried or cream based, then definitely they are not. Okay, then of course for food that has sauces and gravies, do get them to put them at the side. Okay, so one last activity before we end off today's session. Okay, over here you can see this picture, okay, of a very unhealthy food. So a quick one, how do you make this fast food healthier? So take into consideration you are walking into a fast food restaurant with this as an option. So if you are able to change up and swap some of the items, what would you swap them with the healthier option? So I'll go first. Maybe I will change up the burger with the processed meat with a real meat patty. So take for example grilled chicken thigh. So instead of the processed meat, we go for a swap to grilled chicken thigh instead of processed meat. Any of you have any idea how we can actually make them a healthier option? Okay, I'm seeing another question from Tutra. Later on, I'll be addressing them, okay? Ramadan says fried to whipped potato. Okay, yes, that's possible, but also at the same time, do take note of the gravy that comes with it. Okay, Jindy mentions French fries to baked potato. That's also another option, but also take note of that butter amount. Okay, Michelle says oven baked sweet potato to replace French fries. Okay, very good. So most of you are talking about the fries itself. Yes, but we can also change up the potato chips as well. So maybe we change either or to maybe one sweet potato, then the other one would be your baked potato or whipped potato. Okay. Jun Xian says pizza base made with cauliflower and a bit of flour. Yes, that would be a very great option, but we also want to know whether the restaurant themselves do or provide that option. But it's a good one. Okay, Labdi says salted peanuts to plain peanuts. Okay, great. Yes, to reduce the amount of salt. Okay. So here are just some of the tips to make fast food healthier. So like what I mentioned about the burger, using whole piece of meat and not patties to replace the processed meat. Then of course to go for the grilled and not fried options. And then for sides, just now somebody mentioned about our fries, right? And also I mentioned about the potato chips. We can mix that, we can actually swap them out for fresh salad, steamed vegetables like those garden veggies, mashed potatoes. I think someone mentioned about baked sweet potato. That's fine as well. And of course, if you are really craving for that fries, right, order the salt-free option to save 200 milligrams to even 400 milligrams of sodium. But also take note not to put too much salt when you were to have them together with. And then, of course, for your drinks, like sweetened fizzy drinks, choose to replace them with water. Okay, and then I think someone mentioned about pizza. So instead of course having it to change to cauliflower base, that would be one of the healthier option, but we are unable to change the base, but we can change the toppings. We can always go for healthier options like your grilled chicken or meat and then ask them to put in more vegetables. And then for your spaghetti options, to swap creamy or cheesy dishes to tomato or olive based dishes. Okay. So in summary, to end off today's session, it really comes down to your personal choice when you were to eat out. So today I have shared quite a number of tips and tricks on how to choose a healthier hawker food choice as well as restaurant choice. But ultimately, you have to ask yourself whether you want to make that personal choice or not. So my call to you is to have every food in moderation. So definitely do not opt out of fried options entirely, but to sometimes or most of the time choose to go for healthier options. If possible, go for light options as well. And if unable to make a very informed choice of what you want to eat, the best is to go for healthier plate to plan your meals as a guide, and of course to look out for the healthier choice symbol to help you to make a more wise food choice. Okay. So with that, any questions for me, you can, put them into the chat box. I do know of two already, so I'm gonna look at the chat box to answer them accordingly. However, if you do not have any more questions, I would like to, and appreciate if you can actually help me to scan this QR code to do a quick feedback form about today's session. Whether have I conducted today's session well? Are you well informed of what you are to make a more informed food hawker food choice or even a restaurant choice or any other content that you would like to hear from us in the future, you can put them in this feedback form. Okay, so I'm just gonna look at the chat box while most of you help to do this feedback, and I'm gonna answer them accordingly. Okay, so I'll go back to Labdi's question where you ask, can you please share some tips for vegetarian food options too? Yeah, sure. So I would say that most of the vegetarian food options that you can see from the hawker center would be those with mock meat. So personally, I would not recommend you to choose mock meat often, mainly because mock meat are made from flour, which would also increase your carbs intake because of that flour. Okay, so if possible, go for the natural food option like eggs, tofu. If you are vegan, then mostly tofu. Okay, then of course, choose vegetables. So one thing to note about vegetarian food is that because of the omission or the meat omitted from your diet, then we would want to take note of the iron intake. So some of the vegetables they do contain iron as well. So this would include your spinach, okay, baby spinach, your broccoli. Okay, all these do have iron as well, but they are not very high in amount. So we would say that if you would like to, you can always go for these vegetables to increase your iron intake. If really impossible to get your iron, then worst come to worst would be from supplements. But that is another topic for another day. But mainly, if you were to go for vegetarian food option in hawker center or even in restaurants, definitely first look out for the symbol, the V symbol that says that it is vegetarian option or vegan option. Then go for dishes that are of natural sources like tofu, tau kwa, um, eggs, vegetables. Okay, then of course it will still boil back down to the cooking methods. So go for the baked options, the stir fried options. Do not go for the deep fried options. Okay. Another question from Tutra is, in your opinion, is calories or macro more important when choosing the food? Okay, personally, I feel that macro is more important when choosing the food itself. Because I will not encourage you to count your calories very strictly because of it will get very tiring. It's not that I've tried them before, but imagine if you were to count your calories every single meal just to make sure that you are having adequate amount or you do not exceed a certain amount. It might make meal eating very taxing and tiring for you. So personally, I feel that as long as you make sure that your macros are met in every single meal, you have all your macros in every single meal, then I believe that would be sufficient enough already. But of course, it still boils down to what type of macros you are choosing and the cooking methods of it as well. So in general, for this question, in my opinion, macro would be more important when choosing the food. Okay. Okay. Next question from Jindy is, light means in terms of taste or quantity? Okay, it really depends on the mainly it's more on the quantity instead, oh sorry, sorry, light in terms of taste, not the quantity. So you can have a full meal, okay, that are considered light option because of the taste itself as well. Okay, so when a food itself do not have too much of the fats, do not have too much of the sugar as well as salt, right? You can still have them. Okay, they're still considered as light. However, it might not be as flavorful as you would like them to be. Okay, and then of course when it comes to lower in salt, sugar as well as fats, then it also helps you to control the amount of sodium, sugar and fats that you put inside your mouth, which would also in turn increase the calories if you were to have them in high amount. Okay, so when we talk about light, then we do want to talk about the taste instead of the quantity, because we want you to have sufficient amount of nutrients and nutrition. Okay, but of course, if we are able to compromise on the taste, in terms of reducing the amount of salt and sugar, then that would be a better and a healthier option. Okay. Your next question is, healthier to eat ready meals as compared to hawker food? Okay, healthier to eat ready meals okay, you are talking about whether are they encouraged, or rather would I suggest you to have them if I do not interpret it wrongly, right? So healthier to eat ready meals are of course more convenient for you. Uh and of course, if let's say we are to compare the sugar, the salt, the fat content, um of course I would think that having the healthier to eat ready meals would be another option, an alternative for you. Okay, personally, I also have my fair share of trying healthier to eat ready meals. And one of the advantages that it gives us is that it is very convenient. I can always defrost them. then I put them into the microwave to heat it up, and they are ready for me to have them. So I would say that it would be a very great alternative if, let's say, you are somebody that your concern is time, and you just like a very quick fix of meal. You can always go for healthier to eat ready meals. I do understand most of some people might be concerned about the food safety, but if you were to um place them in the freezer right after you buy them, and of course you don't freeze and defrost them, sorry, you don't defrost them already, you feel that you cannot finish, and then you consume half and then you freeze again the other half, then it would not be of a very big health safety or food safety issue. Okay, so I believe these are all the questions. I will stay here till 1:45 to see if there's any other questions. If not, thank you so much for your time today. I hope to see you guys soon. And I hope that everybody have take home some of the messages. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you again. Bye bye. Thank you.